this is egregious. This is extortion. This is NAR saying, let's try to protect ourselves and stab Compass in the back. This is Byron Lazine and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 312 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
Nicole, when we started The Real Word 312 episodes ago.
Long time
back
ago, too. It
in-
was like 2017.
Yeah, late 2017. We were calling out things we saw in the industry that just seemed to be wrong, seemed to be unjust.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up going with the, things are a racket. There's so many hidden rackets happening in the industry. So why do you have do you like tennis? No, I golf, but
No,
we had a little,
it's not even tennis. They're badminton rackets.
yeah, whatever they are. But just there's so many things in this industry that we identified as being a complete
Total
and
racket.
utter racket.
Yeah.
The terms of this settlement, which came off, Nicole, when released, people are like, whoa, here we go, NAR. That was like, I saw that as an initial reaction out there.
Like, yay, NAR, like you did it?
I saw some initially react like, wow, NAR settled. The number fell like 418 million. It's like, okay, like this is going to work.
Over
this
4
might work.
years, too. Over 4 years. So it wasn't just like a punch.
Yeah, it just felt like, oh, did they just get a dub on the board?
Well, and I think the best part about it, though, too, was that it would eliminate all of the other lawsuits. So there could not be any additional lawsuits, correct?
Right. And then you dig a little, you spend some time, you read the 100+ pages, you listen to some attorneys, and you realize, this might be the biggest racket of all time. You just mentioned something there, stopping all other lawsuits. Let's just clear something up.
Yeah.
On the settlement fact sheet from NAR, you don't even have to read the 100+ pages. The first line tells you, oh, this isn't over. NAR plaintiffs have reached a proposed settlement agreement that would end litigation of claims brought on behalf of home sellers related to broker commissions. There's a lawsuit in Illinois from home buyers.
Well, which in all honesty, there should be, right? Because they're the ones paying.
That they say is bigger than these. Okay, so anyways, there's a home buyer lawsuit looming out there that nobody has addressed, okay? Now, you go further down and you read the line, over 1 million NAR members. When NAR put out their email after the New York Times broke the story on Friday, one of the things that stuck out to me immediately, I was live. The email came out while I was on Knowledge Brokers podcast, Nicole.
Yep.
And me and Tom Toole were just like, it just came out, it hit the inbox. We just started reacting live time. And I'm like, over 1 million NAR members are released from liability. I'm like, that just seems, what's up with that? There's 1.5+ million members or thereabout. Like, are there people being left out in the cold?
Right. And you're thinking, not me. Not me.
Oh, no.
Not me. This isn't happening to me.
No.
Yeah.
But it is. It's happening to both you, Nicole, and myself.
Mm-hmm.
We fall into this special 400,000, 500,000 agent category of the unprotected. We don't get the settlement that NAR negotiated. Now, you may be listening to this and you may be confused. Wait a minute. I'm a member of NAR. Am I protected? There are a lot of very big brokerages whose agents now are not protected. So what did NAR do here ultimately? And really, we're speaking on the terms of the agreement.
Yep.
Um, we're not trying to inflict any drama. We're just trying to go through the facts here of what this actually means. We're not attorneys.
Right.
Okay. If you want to know what agents should do moving forward, Wednesday at 3:30, I'm doing a live stream on that with Tom Toole and Lisa. I mean, we can get into a little bit of that at the end here, but I really want to cover this category of agents that have been completely screwed over by NAR because it's a significant grouping of agents.
Right.
So NAR negotiated a deal, $418 million, that they can pay out over 4 years. And then they went on to negotiate a deal to cover members.
Right.
Okay, so if you were over $2 billion in volume, and this is just right out of NAR's fact sheet, the agreement provides a mechanism, so an opportunity to basically get coverage, a mechanism for nearly all brokerage entities that had a residential transaction volume in 2022 that exceeded 2 billion to obtain releases efficiently if they choose to use it. So 1.99999 billion volume in 22 and below, NAR decided we're going to protect you with our $418 million settlement that we as NAR get to pay out over 4 years. If you're a penny over that, a penny over 2 billion in volume in 2022, we've created a formula. We've negotiated a formula on your behalf
Mhm.
that you can basically opt in and just, okay, let me just donate my money in
Right.
based off of this formula.
And then and you only have 1 year to do it.
My understanding is you only have 1 year to do it. NAR negotiated them for themselves 4 years.
Right.
So NAR basically protected all of these small brokerages. And listen, you could be a monster brokerage actually and fall at 1.95 billion and be protected. Brokerage entities owned by members that had a residential transaction volume of 2 billion or below are released from liability nationwide in all seller lawsuits. If you're a penny over 2 billion in 22, which is, by the way, almost everybody's record year,
Right.
you're now having to decide, well, am I going to use this formula? Here's the formula. Just so if you want to run math on maybe your own brokerage or your own situation, and we'll give you some of these, some of the math that's already been run. Rob Hahn and Notorious ROB did a great job running some examples. But the formula is 0.0025 of the volume. Okay, so 0.0025 of the volume. Remember, remember Remax, Keller Williams, and Anywhere have all previously settled before NAR. Those settlement numbers right now look really small when you start running the numbers. Anywhere settled at 85 million. Remax settled at 55 million. You start running numbers on much smaller brokerages and they're paying a lot more. So I don't know. Maybe NAR didn't have a calculator. Maybe they just said, you
Mhm.
know what? Screw it.
Yeah.
We'll screw over a third of our members to try
Right.
to save our salaries and save 1 million members because maybe they'll support us because we protected them and we're just going to give up on over 30% of our members. I don't know what the thinking was here. All right, so here's how this formula works. Based on just using Notorious ROB took numbers out of Swanepoel that was, I think, presented in this settlement, and he's calling it the Big Brokerage Club. There's a list of the top 500 brokerages by volume of 22. There are 173 brokerages with 2 billion in sales volume, an additional 8 brokerages with 1.9 billion. When you do the average of the 4 years, because they take an average of 4 years, if you're over the 2 billion in 22, then they average out the 4 years.
Right.
Then that's how you put in your calculation. But when he just looks at like the top ones here, he gives us some examples. Compass example, $570 million.
Is what they owe.
According to this calculation in the proposed settlement that we don't even know if the DOJ is going to approve, by the way. We don't know that the DOJ is going to like this settlement. When we look at the settlement and we say, okay, as an agent, is this a significant impact to me being a great real estate professional? No, not the full-time great real estate professionals. Right. They're going to definitely come out of this fine. But we don't know if the DOJ even likes the settlement. So that's a whole nother can of worms, and we don't know what's going to happen. We can't control what we don't know there. What we can control is our decisions moving forward. If we should be supportive of NAR, and that's really what we're talking about here. So Compass probably not going to be a supporter of NAR. They just negotiated Compass to pay $570 million, which would be 2 times plus the total that Anywhere, formerly Realogy, Remax, and Keller Williams combined those 3 brokerages paying. They're saying, Compass, go pay 2x more.
And it's more than what NAR agreed to pay too. Like,
Compass is paying, listen, for anybody who wants to say anything, you like the Compass brand, you don't like the Compass brand, this is egregious. This is extortion. This is NAR saying, let's try to protect ourselves and stab Compass in the back. Why don't we put a bullet through Compass, hope it goes through them and hits Douglas Elliman for $107 million as well?
Yeah.
Is Douglas Elliman coming to mind as bigger than the Keller Williams brand? That, Douglas Elliman's a monster company, $107 million. Remax paid $55 million. At Properties out of Chicago. Ever heard of them? Some have, some haven't. They're big in Chicago. When you put them up against those national brands, not so much.
Right.
They're paying $74 million.
It's crazy. And again, these companies didn't even know that they had to like negotiate anything,
They found out like we did, the New York Times.
Right.
I was reading a quote in an Inman piece from Karen Stone. Shout out to Karen, who's been a friend for a long time. Karen was quoted as saying, my mom called me and told, I'm a member of NAR. My mom called me and told me, and I was like, what? Huh? Wait, send me it. This is how I would imagine some of the biggest brokers in our country found out about the news. Somebody forwarded them the New York Times
a social media post. Yeah.
And then 2 hours later, NAR puts it out. Like, NAR should have broken that news to the members, obviously. But they were busy covering their own ass and making sure that, they had their jobs and they could continue to extort their members to inflate their salaries to give Havas Media Group $45 million, for example. So the total is not $418 million. The total is actually $2.24 billion when you add up all of these. Now HomeServices and BHHS are included in that 400,000 or 500,000 agent count. And just released last night, Real Estate News reported, they broke the news that the plaintiffs are asking, and this has been a rumor for a while that they were being extorted by the plaintiffs, for $4.7 billion just from them, just from Berkshire Hathaway.
Right.
And obviously, Warren Buffett would listen. We both respect BHHS. I've got broker owner friends, franchise owners at BHHS. You have a great friend that works locally at BHHS. We've got friends in the brand. I think, I think the CEO is one of the most brilliant minds in all of real estate. And Gino Blafari, shout out to Gino. A lot of friends at BHHS. Warren Buffett would just delete that as a line item from his company before he pays $4.7 billion and gets extorted, because the company is a speck on what they do. It's not relevant to Berkshire Hathaway enterprise. And that is such a huge company. So that's a huge conglomerate of companies. It doesn't matter to Warren. He's not going to just be extorted. He doesn't take L's. He'd let the thing go away. Right. So They're not going to settle for that, obviously, and that's ridiculous to just go after them because they're Warren Buffett. They're looking at things that are outside of real estate and coming up with a crazy number. So that number is crazy. Notorious ROB calls this NAR move, Nicole, socialism, realtor-style. Basically saying, okay, the smaller brokerages, you're covered. The big ones, you're going to pay for everybody else. I kind of like the analogy, I got to
I mean,
say.
it sounds about right, right?
Realty One Group in Sacramento, they've got 1.92 in sales volume, while Rose and Womble Realty in Virginia Beach has 2.038 billion in sales volume. The Virginia Beach company independent at 2.038 billion in sales volume would be cutting a check for $5,095,000 to get coverage under the deal that NAR negotiated. The Realty One Complete, which is in Sacramento, California, has 1.92 billion, so very close, almost a tie on production. They get in for free, a difference of a $5 million check.
Right.
So they didn't, NAR didn't consult with any of these with these big brokerages and say, hey, here's what NAR can afford, 420 million, which a whole nother argument. I would argue they can afford more if they stop wasting realtor dues. Should we pool together and create a calculation where, the little guy pays their fair share, the big guy pays and we come in this thing together? They didn't do that. So would it be wise? And here's the list for just some of these companies. Here's just some of them who it looks like you're going to be involved. Compass, EXP, Douglas Elliman, Hanna Holdings, which is Howard Hanna, huge, one of the biggest privately owned companies. App Properties, HomeSmart, United Real Estate, William Ravis, that's you and I.
Yep.
And the 4,500 agents there. John L. Scott, the agency. So Mauricio happens to be left in the cold, starting obviously his new association. Brown Harris Stevens, First Team Real Estate, to name a few. Realty Austin, one of the great REW websites of all time down there in Austin. They're a powerhouse independent, great company. Do these brokers, Nicole, come together and say, you know what? No, we're not going to do the deal that you negotiated with us, NAR. In fact, we're all going to immediately leave NAR starting now. Yep. We're no longer members because there's nothing left. If you left out of this deal, there's nothing left you can do to say to me like, hey, this is like a marriage. Okay, you did X, Y, and Z to me.
Yeah, you cheated on me.
You can't come back from it. You slept with my twin brother. What are you kidding me? It's over. I'm done. You ever see that Entourage episode where the wife did sleep with the twin brother? I don't watch
Entourage, sorry.
Oh my God. One of the greats, the twin. It's like, Ari's like, I just need to get this straight. She picked your twin brother. Like she didn't want something
anyone
different. Anyways, you can't come back from it. So do these brokers, Nicole, come together, get on a Zoom conference here this week and say, you know what? Let's all immediately leave NAR. It can happen quickly. Redfin did it like that. Hey, we're out on NAR.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that there's going to be lots more in that little Zoom call than let's get out of NAR. I mean, let's be honest.
Well, let's get out of NAR. Now, step 2, let's go to direct to the plaintiffs like Anywhere did, like Remax did, like KW did, and come together as a group and say, hey, we want to negotiate our own terms. We want them to be more in line with the volume associated in terms associated with Remax. Maybe sometimes the first deal is the best deal. Maybe those three just got the best deal and now they're getting tighter and they're not willing to give better deal. I don't know how this works. We're not an attorney, but just looking at the numbers,
well, now they're getting greedy. They see what they could be getting if they agree to this side. So
but
I mean,
how much worse could it be if you go negotiate with them direct, drop out of NAR, and they say no, we kind of want the number that's negotiated. It's like, all right, well, I'm still in the same, they can only improve. I don't believe it can get worse. Now, that being said, this is a proposed settlement. It's not approved, and DOJ is going to have to weigh in. So there's moving pieces there, but I expect there to be there's been pushback on NAR. There's been critics, and they've had every right to be critical. I've certainly been one of them. I've been saying this for over a decade about NAR, and some of the people that I know on this list, some of the biggest brokers in this country, have said,
yeah,
Byron, you should really
go easy.
respect NAR. And I said, they'll stab you in the back if they ever get the chance. They got their chance. They did it. Is there going to be a wave of outcry? And, do you expect that cliff, which I predicted would happen next year, didn't see this coming, to happen
No, well, that's
this
what's so
year?
interesting. We were just I mean, less than, what, 10 episodes ago, we were predicting, like, when the cliff was happening. I mean, this is an absolute game changer. I mean, I think because originally we were thinking that people wouldn't be staying with NAR because of their renewal. I mean, I think people are like, "Screw it. Like, keep the money that I already paid. Like, we're out." Um, yeah, I mean, this whole year is quite the changer from January for sure.
Agents looking to stand out from the crowd, Reminder Media is a resource you have to check out. You get your own branded print and digital magazines, email newsletters, and social media content. Reminder Media delivers these resources to your contacts on autopilot, keeping you top of mind with your database. All you need to do is focus on your follow-up calls and watch referrals and repeat business come in. I just started using this service, and I'm already seeing results from this after only a few weeks. Use the link below to try out Reminder Media.
Appendix D in this even covers non-realtor MLSs. So they covered realtor MLSs, but non-realtor MLSs who want to get in on the settlement, who want to get coverage so they don't have liability in the future. Here are the big ones: FMLS, 5.7 million, MRED, 4.7 million, NWMLS, 3.3 million, GSMLS, 2.6 million, MetroList, 2.1 million. Adding up all of the non-realtor MLS that Notorious ROB put on his list, he had 34 million or so. So NAR kind of hand selected who they would want to cover and who they just want to leave out in the cold. They don't care about the totality of their members.
No, that's clear.
They care about themselves and creating this, keeping the racket going, continuing the bureaucracy, and not going out of business, essentially. So those are the implications there of who's not covered. There's not enough. And you're now, I understand, actually, Nicole. I've been a little critical of some of these broker leaders. Like, why aren't they saying that? Their head is spinning in the last 3 or 4 days of like, wait a minute, I'm a quarter of the size of a Remax and I'm paying more
Right.
than a Remax. Wait a minute, I'm Compass and I'm paying $500 million when Remax, KW, and Anywhere got out for half of that number.
Right.
And I wasn't even named in the first suit. And now you're telling me, hey, don't worry, I did you a favor. I negotiated this on your behalf. I'd love to hear from Robert Revkin, but I'm not surprised that I haven't. They're a publicly traded company. And he's probably now got to be really careful with what he says. And so even, I've been critical of brokers where it's like, send an email to your people, get ahead of this. But those emails can be used against you. Those emails leak out.
Yeah.
So that's one part of it. But the other part of it is, I would, though, if I was those brokerages, I'd really get some guidelines for my manager. There's a lot of manager emails I've seen, variety of different companies. that aren't that impressive. I'm getting a lot of text messages. People like, oh my gosh, my manager doesn't know what to do, literally.
Literally. And
Uh,
it's so sad because it's like this is their time to lead, you know? Like you were saying it,
mm.
like, this is time for leadership. This is their time to lead. And yeah, I mean, we've gotten a few ourselves, you know, it's just it's just wait, you know, which I mean, in our market already, we're seeing, excuse me, people not even offering buyer brokers. And it's like agents don't even know at this point what to do, and there is no direction.
Well, there's no direction from the top. There's a lack of clarity, and I would say that I think I've said before. I think there's a lot of managers that are vulnerable um, throughout this, but there are a lot of great, hardworking managers as well who want to lead, are looking for the right ways to lead. If you're an agent who is not being led and you're looking for the right tools, definitely Wednesday 3:30
Yeah.
here on the live tab, we're going to be doing that Knowledge Brokers panel, and we're going to go through that. Um, Again, the settlement's not approved, so I would act in the meantime as if this is the world you're going to go forward with, buyer agency being a big part of that. Now, some states have already been a buyer agency state, others haven't. So if you're in a
Right.
state that hasn't had buyer agency, it's a total like, well, I don't even have a form.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, we
But
at least have forums where we are.
but I might create my own FAQ for a buyer client or my own checklist or go through it detailed. Here's something, Nicole, um, that not many have used in the past, but are going to be on the up for smart buyer agents in the future. That's a buyer net sheet, seller net sheet, listing net sheet. Almost all listing agents have one or have access
Right.
to one or help a seller create one. Buyers net sheet, line items. Probably some agents in the chat right now saying, hey, I've been using a buyer net sheet for years. You're ahead of the curve because not many have. And
No.
congrats to you. That's a really smart thing to do. But buyer agents are going to be using a net sheet moving forward. So I'd be creating one of those right now. Like that's something that you can just do regardless of what shakes out here, what gets approved, what doesn't, what tweaks are made, what new forms come out in your ML. You can start creating a buyer net sheet over the next couple of weeks and start using that. That's just more value that you're bringing to your buyers no matter what happens.
Right.
Okay. Nicole, any other thoughts specifically on
I don't. I
the
don't.
agreement?
I'm still, I mean, because even yesterday you called me, you're like, "How you feeling?" I just there's so much obviously coming at it, and, I think that your guys' podcast tomorrow is gonna be wildly informative and helpful, and I think, is probably gonna be crucial for a majority of the agents, so I would encourage them all to hop on there. I know I'll be on there, but no, it's all, I feel like each day, like, another layer of the onion kind of opens up, and obviously, I'm still not confident that this is the end, so we'll see.
Yeah, join tomorrow. Depending on when you're listening to this, that'd be Wednesday, the 20th of March, 3:30 Eastern, here on the Now Bam YouTube channel. So hit subscribe. It'll be in the live tab. You can hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're listening to this Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, this Real Word Pod, then you can go over to the live tab now and hit the notification bell. 3:30 Eastern. We'll walk you guys through all of that. Really appreciate you listening to the pod. Obviously, way more to come. It's going to be an interesting number of months ahead of us. The ultimate message here that I continue to help people with is, well, number one, Nicole, I'm not going to be getting beat up anymore in the comment section about how you can't be a part-time agent. I've gotten a lot of flack for that. I've also tried to like have empathy towards that. The empathy is gone towards that because not that it's gone. It's that, okay, it's just not going to be possible because every deal is going to require 50% more work,
Oh,
60% more work,
easily. Even more
time,
than that.
energy, forms, thoughtfulness. Um, it's just
Professionalism.
you're
Yeah.
gonna have to do a lot more with less. And so working hours goes up. I just don't know how you can conduct multiple buyer consultations and an increase in conversations and advisory sessions, working 10 hours. I just don't know how you could pull it off. Okay. So one, I think there's a huge opportunity, like the folks that are listening to this pod and that are part of the BAM community, there's a huge opportunity for you to navigate this new groundwork and come out on top of it. That's for sure. And now it's just about, let's start getting into the mode of what we need to do. I do like to comment on, what NAR is doing and if we should be, I'm still very skeptical of what Jason, even though I had Jason on for a live stream for an hour after the news broke, that
Yeah.
thing did like 14 or 15,000 views. He's starting AREA, but he knows I'm like, hey, go check it out. If you want to sign up for their newsletter, be informed about it, follow it as I am. I'm certainly not joining that right now. There's no guaranteed promise of what value I would get out of joining that. I've been, very critical, obviously, of NAR, but what's going to be the next step? There needs to be a unifying moment. Notorious ROB calls what's happening right now between the big brokers and NAR a civil war. I would tend to agree that could break out. And in a civil war, then you do have a new type of regime sometimes that takes over, similar to the Live Golf PGA thing that we were talking about before the pod. All right, that's what we got.
Have you watched Full Swing yet?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Jesus.
We need you to give us. You're the one that gives us our documentary updates here on the pod.
You got to get on it.
I know, but I'm watching too many attorneys comment about a settlement.
I know.
All right, guys.
Well, when you're done
keep
with
it real. Stay
make
with
sure
us
you
here
put
on
it on
BAM. We'll keep bringing you all the
See you guys.
facts. Since April, we have uploaded new and sought-after courses, content, and tactical assets for your business into the BAMX platform. Not articles behind a paywall that only pontificate to you what you should think and do, but education that actually shows you how to do what you need in today's market. Every day, we continue to add more content into BAMX and our private Facebook community. Content that works, content that our members have exclusive access to daily. It's why over 1,500 of you and climbing have joined us in BAMX. It's also why tomorrow's price is guaranteed to be higher than today's. That's called inflation. Do not wait any longer. Use code REALWORD and join the thousands of agents taking their business to the next level today. Code REALWORD for 10% off. See you in BAMX.